name is Dr. Ray, and I'm here to tell you about our podcast, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. We are here to have the tough and difficult conversation about being labeled special ed or have some form of a disability. My name again is Dr. Raylyn White.
And I am Keita A. Pratt. Be sure to tune in to us every first and third Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
We can be found on Clubhouse as of now, but please stay tuned to our social media pages, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas.
Heritage Academy in San Antonio is now open for student registration. Our mission at Heritage Academy is to not only prepare students to succeed at college, but to instill values and knowledge, to educate the whole person, and to balance intellectual development with purposeful moral guidance. Smaller classes, personal attention, focusing on teaching life values. We're eager to welcome new students this fall. Register your student today at heritageacademy.net.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in on our second season episode. We are here. Dr. Ray and I, Keita A. Pratt, we are here and we welcome you on today. Today, we are having a powerful conversation. And today, we are talking about overcoming depression. And literally, that means, this topic on today, we're not covering dyslexia, but when we talk about depression, that is one thing that also have to deal with dyslexia. So those two are hand in hand. And on today, we have an amazing guest that's going to talk to us about how he has overcame depression and the things that he had to go through and the things that he has conquered and he has, overcome. And so we are excited today with our guest speaker on today. So I definitely want to let you know about the things that's happening on this platform. As you know, we are growing, we are expanding, we are bringing the conversations that need to be had in this season. As you know, I am one of the hosts on our podcast, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. I am Keita A. Pratt. I am a dyslexic. I am a living dyslexic, here to encourage my dyslexics to motivate and inspire them. That is my goal. My goal is to give the resources that they need to continue to strive and to overcome some of the stigmas that we have been labeled with as dyslexics. So that is all I have. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host so she can definitely do her introduction and she can let us know about our guest speaker on today. So that is all I have. Dr. Ray, the floor is yours.
All right. Welcome, everyone. And today is a very special day. As you can see, we have on maroon because we are supporting Uvalde. Today was their first day of school. And so all of the school districts in the state of Texas wore maroon to show support. One thing that we do know is that depression is real, and especially for those who were walking back into that classroom on today, it was very hard for them to do after what had happened. But we know through all things, through Christ that strengthens us, we can do it. And so I am Dr. Ray. I am an administrator at a charter school in San Antonio, Texas. It is indeed a pleasure and honor for me to be on this platform with my amazing co-host. We are charged with helping not only dyslexic overcome, but people with other stigmas. So our second season, we are focusing on other stigmas, which brings us to our guest on today. Hey, our guest today, he is an awesome young man. I'm not saying that because he is my son, but he is also a dyslexic, and he also overcame depression. Now, I'm not saying when we said that he overcame it, because that is something we all deal with, and sometimes on a daily basis. basis, it is a struggle. So please welcome to our platform my number one son, Evan White. Hello, Evan.
Hello, you forgot, to say
Evan,
favorite.
hello, welcome to the
Oh,
broadcast.
I forgot to say favorite.
No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay. He is at this moment the favorite.
I'm kidding.
But no, what a pleasure and honor it is to share this platform with you again. This is our first time actually seeing you, but this is the second time that you have graced our stage as a guest, and I thank you. I didn't even have to twist your arm, praise God. But we are thankful that you are here to speak with us about not only depression, but also being dyslexic and having depression. Because we do know that sitting in those classrooms sometimes is hard enough, but then having other issues on top of that. So again, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. So would you like to enlighten us and introduce yourself?
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Evan White. Just I'll tell you where I go to school at. So I got my bachelor's at Oklahoma City University for human performance and kinesiology. Then played a little professional basketball. Tried out in Germany. Played a little semi-pro until I got my calling to go into ministry. And as of now, I am attending Truist Seminary at Baylor University, where I will be graduating this December. December 16th is actually the real date. So excited for that. I am also it's a long name, but I'm a youth and sports and recreation director at Trinity United Methodist Church right now, and yes, well, and also I guess I am married with my
That's what I was
beautiful
about
wife.
to say. Don't
Yes,
forget. Don't forget.
yes, I know. You know, beautiful wife, Crystal White, and we're both doing well. We have no kids, but we have two dogs. Well, yeah, two dogs. So,
It's not a big difference.
it's not, it's not, they're not. But no, we are here, and yeah, that's enough about me.
All right. Well, one thing that I do know is Evan has overcome a lot. I'm not just saying that because I had to live it with him, but because he had the determination to always strive for more and to strive for better. Um, so I am not going to take your thunder, son. I'm gonna allow you to start off. Like, when did you realize that you suffer from depression?
I guess it was towards. That's a good question. Maybe a beginning, the start of it. It wasn't as deep until later in my junior year. Um, no, like my senior year, but around the middle-ish of my junior year is when I started to have depression or negative thoughts in my head about myself.
Mhm.
Main reasons why is because I went to a junior college my first 2 years at Lamar State College, Port Arthur. And so my mom was born and raised in Beaumont. So I had family there and I always had family there. So that was nice. But then when I finally moved to Oklahoma City, I had no family. And I guess it's just caught up that it's not that I didn't have friends. It's not like I was just like lonely all the time. I had friends, but family was always close to me. And when times get tough, especially you are a college student, um, it's kind of hard. And I wasn't that person that didn't want to ask for money, which I did when I really needed it, but I really hated that. I thought people looked down, and I didn't have time to get a job. I didn't have time to get a job because of my dyslexia. And I know I needed as much time I do for studying. I wasn't like how other people were that they could have a full-time job and still play sports. And so there were some athletes, especially the women's basketball, that had a job full time, play basketball, and etc. I was afraid to do that. So I guess the beginning of it, I could say, don't know the exact day, but the middle of my junior year of my college, my
Okay.
undergrad.
Well, that was awesome. I do know that while he was growing up, we did have him in some form of counseling.
Hmm.
He preferred to talk to Reverend Huff at our
Hmm.
church. And the reason why I had him in counseling at such a young age was after their dad and I divorced. I wanted him to know that it was okay. So counseling has always been my thing. I really wasn't ashamed if my kids had to go. So he had an option to go to Reverend Huff at church, or if he wanted a professional. Well, Reverend Huff was a licensed counselor, but he could have went to someone outside of the church, and
Hmm.
he chose to stay within the church. So he went to Reverend Huff. So I think not having the support system he's had his whole life between me, his dad, um, the family that was in San Antonio, the family that was in Beaumont, he always had what we call a safe place that he
Hmm.
could go to. And I guess going to Oklahoma, he didn't have that. So and I would call, especially like when I didn't make a game, we always talked after every game, and I would tell him, I say, son, something ain't right. And he would say, I'm okay, mom. And I'm going, something ain't right. I didn't push the issue because I needed him to know um, and be willing to share what was wrong with him. So I knew something wasn't right with him, but I didn't push it on him, you know. I just made sure that he knew that I was available for him, and he had to walk that journey alone. But I'll let him finish and tell his story. Go ahead on, my son.
Um, well, yeah. So I do. It wasn't like I didn't believe in counseling. I didn't know who to go to, and I just didn't have the. I wouldn't say I wasn't like smart to go to a counselor or anything like that. It just I guess I didn't have the desire during that time. I didn't know how
Mhm.
to say it. I just didn't go. And plus, I was afraid to go to someone new. There are counselors, me studying because I was planning on doing my master's um, in in counseling, but I didn't know. I didn't trust people. I didn't trust like someone new. Um, now I do. I don't have one. I still talk to my pastor back in Waco, but like if me and Crystal, we are looking into like a couples counseling. Nothing bad, just like we heard like even if everything's good, we still need to even still go. So we're nothing's bad between us. We just believe in mental health, and even for everything's good, we still could talk and learn how to communicate better. So I still encourage for people to go and find someone that could be safe. But during that time, I didn't know anyone to talk to, and I didn't. I feel like I wasn't bothered. And I know I wasn't. I know people didn't feel that way, but just in me being in Oklahoma, I feel like I wasn't bothered um, and everything, and I just didn't reach out to people. So it wasn't like I didn't have support. Never had that. I just feel that I felt that ethic, like oh God got me. I know I'll be all right and everything. And not saying he don't, but we were built to be in community. We were built to be with people. Jesus still had 12 disciples. Um, you know, um, Even you go all the way back in Genesis and Joseph, he still had like the two Josephs. He still brought his brother because of the community. It We don't see no one did like adversity or anything by themselves. Majority of in the whole Bible, we see them in community. So why does that think that we think we could do life with just us and God? God didn't create us that way. And I thought because, oh, I have God, I'm gonna get through it and everything. And that was just like just that was a crack, and the enemy was able to come in and put them thoughts in my head throughout for maybe 2 years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years mainly, especially the whole time I was in Oklahoma. So yeah, I think that was a big thing. Not saying that was like I didn't have friends, it's just that I had best friends and I had a great support system up there for friends, but it's just that it wasn't family. It wasn't like close, and I was like I didn't want to be a bother to people, and I know eventually I get through it, and one thing led to another. So yeah, so that was the start of it.
Wow, that is amazing. So that brings me to the question of, I hear that, having counseling and having an open dialogue is normal for you. Now,
Mhm.
as you are in a younger generation in a sense, like what made you or what makes you so comfortable to stand boldly up here to tell your testimony, to tell your story? Is it because possibly the environment you grew up in, or it's just you embracing who you are as an individual, and you just naturally is okay with taking constructive criticism, also help, also
Mhm.
guidance? I mean, what is it for you? Like, help us out here, because
Uh,
you're standing boldly and confident in this, and you even talking about counseling with you and your wife. Like, I
mhm.
mean, how are you doing this? Like, where does this stem from for you?
Yeah, so when I finally it was I never gave my life to Christ. When I finally took him as my Lord and Savior, and that was after college. When I finally followed him, I believed him and everything, but when I finally followed him, um, I wasn't ashamed to share my story because my mom told me since I was before I got to college I was gonna have a testimony. And that was my testimony, but I didn't want to like overdo it. So I said, yeah, I deal with depression, but it was in September of 2019, me and my wife went to Transformation Conference with Michael Todd, and I was able to ask one question because I was a youth pastor. It was a funny story because they combined like the pastors and like the his wife had one too, was like a general compilation where they could ask questions to her, but they combined them two, so it was basically like a orange. They call it an orange table talk. It was basically people ask questions to the pastor, Michael Todd, and his wife, and everyone asked questions because everyone trying to talk to Michael Todd. Now he's one of the well-known pastor around. And after the third question, the wife said, "This is also a pastor thing. Is there any pastors that need a question that for their church and everything?" And I was a brand new youth pastor, and all the hands went down, and my hand went up, and I was nervous because I Michael Todd during his whole preaching really helped me get closer to Christ. So I was super nervous. I'm like, I don't see him as an idol or anything, but I'm like, dude, I'm like really look up to you, like everything. But my question to him was like, I was really nervous about being a youth pastor. I thought I wasn't stable and everything. And he's told me four things that I still take to today into my ministry, but also just in my life in general. He said, be real, tell on yourself, don't judge, love first. That was the four things I took from Michael Todd.
Wow. Can you repeat those three things one more time?
Yes, be real, don't judge. Be real, tell on yourself, don't judge, love first. So he also gave an example. 'Cause I even told him that I suffered through suicidal thoughts and everything, and he caught that. He said, like, does your youth know that you suffer through suicidal thoughts? Does your youth know that you suffer through depression? He said, be real with them. Don't give them. I said, don't give details. Like, don't just like, oh yeah, I was no, but tell them that you suffered. So my youth knew that I was saying I was not with my wife, but when I was dating during the time I was a cheater, and I lied. I did some awful things. I'm not saying that I was an awful person, but I did some sinful things, and my youth know that. My mom know that. And it was hard telling my mom. It was before that, but it was hard telling my mom. It was hard telling the people that I love because I thought they'll look down on me. But they said, no one will understand what God has done for you if they don't know the truth. If they see, if they see what, if they only see what God has done for you, they'll be thinking like, oh, he's perfect, he's not worth it. But another example is my niece. She wants to get into the Bible, and so I bought her first Bible today. I just mailed it off today, and I was on the way to San Antonio, and we were listening to the podcast with Tim Ross, and and I told her about my past, and she said, "I never thought it was you," because she never knew me during no, I never knew this was you. She couldn't believe it, and God told me to save some of my videos during my bad time when I was partying and all that, and I showed her, and she said, "I never thought this was you." I said, "It was a grace of God," and see how powerful that people see that I was lost, but I was found because I follow, and I think that's a bigger impact for my youth. My youth knows that I used to be a cheater. My youth know I used to lie. I suffered depression. So that's not, my youth knows everything. I'm an open book. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I just kept that in mind with the four things through my life. And now people see the fruits that coming through with me following Jesus and grounded through the gospel. So like I said, be real, tell on yourself, don't judge, love first. You're muted, Mama.
We both over here. I'm sitting here taking notes. You said I'm sitting here writing notes.
God,
Mr.
don't
Evan
make me.
here, Mr. White got us. He's sitting here giving us some good jewels. He dropping some jewels on tonight. Like he says, be real.
Be real.
Like, be real. Tell on yourself. Don't judge. And love hard or
love first. Love first.
Love first.
Yeah, and that just means like I don't just go to random people and say, "Hey, I used to be this and everything." No, it started growing with the relationship, and yeah. I wasn't like the youth. I just came in was like, "Hey, so I used to do this." Like I wasn't like that. I built relationship with them, and then through lessons, I use experiences that that I had with my lessons, and that's when I started slowly giving in. So like with my niece, she been knowing me for how long? Maybe like what, maybe 3 years, maybe 2.5, 3 years, and so we built that relationship, and now like it was comfortable. It wasn't forced. It just came natural. So that's why I believe in. That's how I spread the gospel. I don't. I like to build relationships. I like the marinate. I like to let it grow. And there's some times where I just go straight to the gospel, and there's time for that. But I feel like relationships is just as important because people will see what God has done. And I think more people are visual people than just, oh, I can hear the gospel and everything. I think more people are visuals. And if they could see the fruits that God had produced, they'll see like, okay, like God is real because what he done for Evan. And I have a few friends that we share the gospel, like we share a word, and my mom knows named Charlie. He gave his life because we were both partying during time. But then when I finally followed him, I followed Christ, he saw that, and he's like he followed and everything. So he's learning as well, and I think he's doing good things through business and crypto and all that. He's into all that, but he's doing really well with that. So yeah, so I think that's just building relationships and letting people know what you were. But then when you follow Christ, I'm not saying it was all perfect. I still make mistakes today, but I'm still have the grace of God. And I'm still learning today. So that's what we grow from there.
Wow. I don't know if Dr. Ray has anything, but I'll move on to my next question for you. How did depression affect you when you realized, some of the things you were going through, it was because you were depressed? Like, how did it affect you, and how did you recognize it was depression once you have really come through it? Once you have come through it and you look back over your life and you said, like, what was the things that determined that, for you that, depression was over your life?
That was a good question. I guess when I finally figure out that I was having negative thoughts of myself, I was a person that kept the mask on. So in my room, I took my mask off, and I kept to myself in my room until my teammates was ready to go to a party or something like that. But when I went to school, I was the goofy, laughing person and make sure if my friends were good, my teammates were good, and I'm good, I'll just get through it, get through the day. And it was just difficult. And even like that, my like I say, it was just really difficult during that time to just manage. Um, I knew that it wasn't that I know some people just couldn't get up. I couldn't get up. I still got up because I have a crazy mother. If I missed school, it would be too much. So that's one thing. But I probably didn't get up till like 5 minutes before school started. And my apartment where I lived at was literally right next to the school. So like we're like across the street. Like my apartment I lived at was across the street from the school's baseball field. So in my kinesiology, most classes were right literally 30 seconds away. So I literally got up 5 minutes, brushed my teeth, and just walked and act like, all right, time to put my mask on. And when I finally realized it was a pattern, I kind of caught up, and then that's when like the suicidal thoughts happened and everything. And I did almost commit suicide my senior year. And it was a grace of God that he stopped me. He knew when that day. I'll share it. No one, and trigger warning for anyone. I know that's for um, no one would have stopped me. I'm not going to get detailed. No one would have stopped me that day. I already made like that settled day. Like even my mom knew about it. She called me. She wouldn't have stopped me. That's how cool I would have got. But God used my godfather. My godfather passed away when I was in fifth grade, but he was like my father figure growing up. And I knew there was one voice, and that was my godfather. And he just said, stop. And I stopped out of nowhere. And that's kind of like really hit me was the point that I need to figure this out. I said something else, but I need to figure this out. That's why I said I like to be real. Like something happened and no one knew about it. My mom didn't know about it till after I graduated. But I did go to a friend. Like one of my friends didn't know. Her name was Tyra. And I was going through a lot of things during the time, and she helped me through that. So I guess that she was kind of like my safe place. We weren't dating or nothing like we weren't nothing like that. She literally was one of my good friends, and yeah, and to the point where I got the reminder, and it loved, and I shared that with people because I have it tattooed for my godfather, and I think that means a lot. And that was my first tattoo, and I thought I would like regret it, but I've never regretted to this day. I think it was the best decision because it's a reminder, and it is visible to people because people can see it. People can see it, and they ask, "Oh, what does that mean?" And I get to share my testimony easy like that, and that's how conversation happened, and that's how I can share the gospel and how God didn't use my godfather because when I said no one could stop me, no one could stop me, and yeah, so that's what I figured out was it was real deep, and that's what I was going through. So
Oh, wow. Well, Dr. Ray, do you have any questions you have for Mr. Evan here?
Um, I have quite a few. No, I'm just playing. Can you show your tattoo?
yes, so it's right here. So
Yeah, twist it.
It's twisted. It's
Yeah,
I'm
that's right
trying
there.
my
Right there's
okay.
fine.
So right here, in my heart is the best part is my on my godfather tombstone, and the flower represent my godmother, because it's a sunflower because her favorite color is yellow. Because she said even if it's dark yellow, you can still see a little light. And I guess, of course, um, God was my light, but I guess during that time was God and my godfather, and I guess the prayers of my mother and my godmother during was my light that lead was a light leading me to that. And then the butterflies represent new life, because one of my favorite albums of all time is "To Pimp a Butterfly" by Kendrick Lamar, and he explained how, and as a caterpillar, I was young, capture everything, and everything in my cocoon was during my depression. And that's when I had to figure out what I learned in the past, gather in, and that was during my darkness. And now I'm in my, I'll call my butterfly stage, what I learned into what it is today. And I got three that represent my mom, myself, and my brother. And then I have one more. It's Isaiah 41:10. It's For do not fear, for I'm with you, for I am God. I will give you strength with my right hand, and it's an arrow going through a cloud, and the cloud represents my depression. And the arrow, the only time I only thing go through the cloud was God's right hand, and that was God with the air with I'm the arrow getting through the storm to where I'm at today. So I believe I have meaningful tattoos, and I just don't get them just to get them. And when I say it's a great conversation started with people, is I think I share more of the gospel because people ask what the tattoos mean. Even my tattoo person, were like drawing. He was like, "Oh, why are you getting butterflies? Because man, getting a butterfly is kind of weird." but but that's when I shared the gospel with him. He said, "Man, that's meaningful." Like me explaining to him in the sense that he knows it, not get so theological because people go to sleep on that. You don't want to get that unless you know, unless you know them and they want to know it. But you know, that's what my story is, and I'm happy I have it in my heart. At first, I have it in my heart, and I have it even on my arm. So
I mean, that is amazing. I mean, like you have tattoos, and now you know how back in the day, the favorite saying, "Hey, don't tat up your body. It's a sin. It's an abomination." And I hear you boldly standing, for your tattoos, but it's righteousness based on, hey, I love God in the sense
Mhm.
of I'm not putting tattoos on my body and representing the dead or representing anything in the sense that don't glorify my Father. And
Mhm.
you standing here boldly saying, "Hey, listen, I have these tattoos, but I can tell you exactly what they mean, but they still lead me back to the Father
Mhm.
who is in heaven." And that is amazing because as today, tattoos is a really big statement for a lot of younger folks, the younger
Mhm.
generation. I mean, tattoos, which moves a lot of people, and it is a conversation starter.
Oh
And I
yeah.
love the fact that you talked about your tattoos, but the way you talked about it, it allowed everyone to know, said, "Hey, listen, I'm not getting tats because I know it's cool, but I'm getting them for a reason. It's something
Mhm.
behind it." And I mean, I think that just speaks volumes. And it just, even with the older, generation,
Mhm.
they hear you speak about these tattoos, will give them a mind shift, like, you know what, maybe it's not so bad that my granddaughter, my niece, my nephew, my cousin, my child, have tattoos, because the perspective that you have
Right.
given
That's
on this evening, it definitely is a mind shift. It's a
well.
mind shift. So I thank you, Evan, for just being boldly to stand, in your tattoos and said, "Hey," and then, you had Dr. Ray, your mom is just like, "Hey, show your tattoos." Like, and I
Mhm.
mean, it's amazing that, she is so proud of you in the sense of the person that you have become and all that you are doing, and that she stand behind you like, 2 feet down, like she is with you in the sense of she stand behind you. And I love that you have her support in that way, and she doesn't friend on anything that you're doing, in the sense that she's encouraging, she's motivating, she's uplifting, she's correcting, it's amazing. I can talk all day about what you just said. So I thank you, and thank you, Dr. Ray, for just bringing it up, because that is a conversation starter. Right. But yeah, back to you, Dr. Ray.
I have nothing to say. I am always at awe when I hear him speak. I just go back to the time that he, I just see my little toot, but I always knew that he had a purpose in life. And I would always tell him, I would always say, do what? Son,
there's a lot of things you said.
I know, but when I say, but always do
me,
that's it.
Okay, he said you.
That's I know I've always said a lot. Okay, but I've always told him, if he was in the classroom on the basketball court, no matter where he went, I always say, son, always do. And then he would say,
me. Oh, I was waiting.
But that's the thing. And that's one thing that I always try to do, is to help people become the best version of themselves. Now, I'm not saying it was always easy for us. Trust me. We've had some times. But one thing he knows, that I will always support him. I would joke was I would be like Tiger Woods' mom when he was making that announcement, and she was just back there, just right there behind him. And I said, I know in private she would tell him how she really felt, even in so even if she didn't support it, like it, or whatever, in private, I've always told my boys how I felt. But in public, I would stand right there behind them, even if I didn't like it. I would stand there behind them and support them, because he has to do him. He can't do me. He has to do who Evan is, not who mom wants them to be. And I'm not always agreeing. I didn't agree with a lot of stuff he didn't do. But when he knows that I will always be there to support him. And that's, I think that was the one thing that was always something that we shared. It wasn't even, it was kind of easy and hard, because from middle school to high school, we were always on the same campus.
I loved it. Ethan was the one that hated it, because I love free food. Everyone knew my mom.
Ethan's in the chat. He's watching, so don't talk about my patootie now. Okay. Look, so don't talk about my patootie. But it has one thing that I tried to do is to treat each one of them as individuals. I never compared them to each other. I never said, well, this one is the better athlete. They both were good athletes. And I even made sure when they were younger, they weren't even in the same sport at the same time. Ethan was doing karate while Evan was doing something else. I don't know. I was all over. But it's because I wanted them to be their own individuals. I want them to be who God had created them to be. One, I never said, I didn't even discuss grades with the other. I never discussed grades. I never discussed what one made on the SAT, what the other one, if they probably told themselves. I never did that. And even when I had to punish, I only performed for the person I needed to perform for. So the other one never knew what I did to the other one. No, they're not twins. They're 4 years apart.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Ethan's in the chat. Ethan hates that.
Yeah. Everyone think there are twins because they look so much alike. But
Don't say
no,
that.
they're not twins. They're 4 years apart.
No.
Praise God, they were 4 years apart because I couldn't have them on the same basketball team.
I
Mm-mm.
think me and Ethan would have been fine. I think me, Ethan. I think me, Ethan would have been fine.
No.
I would say this. I would say this. I would say Ethan is a better basketball player. I would say that. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm the
But
smarter one.
no. See, I have one. He
We
he he
agree
was
with
the
that.
modest one. He was all about the win, and the other
Of
one.
course.
This is the best way I can put it. If Evan scored 30 points on you, you wouldn't know until the end of the game and you look in the book. Ethan scored 2 points, you knew it. Um it is just it's just awesome to see where Evan has come from. To say that he had all of the struggles academically, and I knew sports is what would keep him in school, and that's why he was in so many. He had no pass, no play at 3. Okay, because I knew that was going to be a struggle for him. But by the grace of God, I also made sure that he had all of the techniques and the support that he would need. And I just praise God because of the job that I had when I had a friend that was a reading specialist. So he would ride the bus from his elementary school to another elementary school because I worked in the district, and they tutored him for me for an hour. When he was in the dyslexia class, he was in the class by himself. So they were not in private schools, but because of, favor, that's the best way I can put it. Because of favor, he received a lot of additional support that some other people would not, that they didn't get. But he learned that people were cracking up because he was in special education but taking AP classes because his mom was crazy and she wasn't going to release him because she knew he needed that support when he got to college. And when he started having issues in college, I gave him a brown envelope when he left for college. And I said, when you start having issues, just hold on to this envelope. And it wasn't until his senior year in college and he started having problems, and he knew he had a tutor. He used all of his techniques.
I did
And
everything.
and when he came and said, Mom, I can't get it, I said, son, that brown envelope that I gave you, take it to student services and they will have to do everything that's in there. So they were like, well, we need to release him when he was in high school. And they were not, well, some people tried to shame me because they were like, wait a minute, you're an administrator at the school and your child is in special ed. And I went, and so it didn't matter because they were trying to get me to me, I felt like they were trying to shame in order for me to release him. But I knew that is what he needed. So when he had those issues, you had to have the final ARD that had those accommodations in order for him to get him in college. So that's why I was like, no. And they were like, but he take AP classes. Okay. No. So it's amazing. I just laid the foundation, but it was Evan who has developed and created this man that you see in front of you. And I am so godly proud of him. And I'm just tiptoe. I just have that tiptoe anticipation to see what the future will hold for him, and just know that he is not ashamed, because that was one thing I told him from the beginning. Yes, he learned differently from everyone, but that does not mean you can't learn. And it was kind of hard because the youngest son is just, he a little smart. And he thought I was trying to make him fail because he everything came easy for him. But one thing I was telling him, I felt more comfortable sending Evan to college than Ethan, because Evan knew what he needed to do in order to prevent. Ethan can wake up and write a paper and get an A, you know. Um, he said no. Okay. I said
I
Ethan.
couldn't. No, no, I know, no. I'm shaking my head because I'm like, I wish I could do that. It takes,
Yeah, but you used the techniques that you needed to
yeah.
use in order to get where you are. It's, and you know, it's hard not only getting into Baylor but also Truett. So don't take that lightly
Oh
what
yeah,
you
no,
have
I know
done.
that. Oh no, oh trust me,
Oh,
trust me, I
you
know.
see what Ethan.
It takes a lot of practice. So yeah, I bet it does.
So
But
go ahead. You take us out.
Um,
no,
um,
oh,
I have more questions. We have
one
15
more.
more minutes. So,
Oh, go ahead. That's it.
I was asking Dr. Ray, she had something, she wanted to kind of, you know, kind of carry us on. But I definitely want to go back into the conversation when we were talking about, you overcoming depression. Now,
Mhm.
what words or phrases would you use to describe depression to family or friends, to be able to help somebody, find help, find support, find a counselor? Like,
Mhm.
what are some of the phrases, the words, the expressions we should be looking at, or being, possibly, that we can notice with our loved one, or a close friend, if they are too afraid to tell us that they're battling depression or loneliness or something. Like, is there any words or any phrases or something that you can kind of, you let us know and let our audience know to kind of look at, as far as our friends and family?
If I'm just trying to get the questions right. So you asking like what some ways I like what kind of phrases I use to tell people if there are some signs. There's some
Signs.
Right.
That's
signs.
what I was about to
Okay,
say.
Yes.
cool.
Signs.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, um, oh, there's so many. But so one thing I say is that you could tell if they're off, and if you ask them, if you ask them like, how's everything, and, they brush it off and everything, continue to check on them. 'Cause I think that's one thing my mom did is she checked on me and remind me that she was always there. And even though that um, I was still during that dark time, in the back of my head, I knew that my mom was still there. And just remind them that to be in community. If and that's one thing I could say with my friends in Oklahoma City. We other than partying, we did hang out a lot because when I finally, especially after my attempt, I literally depended on them, and I say even just going for a walk or something like that, where I finally realized that I couldn't do it by myself. And if someone, I always tell them that have a community. That's one thing I do love about my youth. A lot is going on in my church right now, especially United Methodist Church. That's a whole nother story. But one of the youth, I could say we just have a strong community that they didn't want to leave. And there's that bond we have, and and I don't know, it's just something about community. And if you have that team, you could go far because God placed them in your life to do his purpose. And so, look at the signs, check on the people. I especially do if I could tell, it's something you could just tell like something's off. Like my mom. My mom knew something was off. And so she continued checking on me and everything. But it is up to like the person to seek that. I can't control what the person going through, but I could continue reminding them. And so sometimes you may be that person to like, hey, I need help. And when you're there, just be there for the person. So like I said, community, community, community. And I think that's the biggest thing. And is if someone is going through something, find someone you trust. And if you are that person to trust, make sure that conversation between you and that person. Don't share it. Don't, oh, I got something I could share. No, because that'll definitely hurt the person. So So just remember, that's one thing I can just preach. Whatever that community is, I have a community for almost everything. I have a basketball community. I have my friends back at home. I have a gaming community where I play Apex, and I have a lot of communities, good communities, not like that, like the good communities I could always depend on, and I have friends and family in every corner that I could call on for different advice. I still have conversation with my pastor in Waco when I was a first youth pastor at, and we still talk today. We still talk. I still talk to my mentor in San Antonio that helped me through. I think he was Reverend Brock. He was the one that definitely got my life in order, especially that was during like my during my time, and he got me through a lot. And I just wanted I just want to be a man like him. I didn't want to be him. I want to be a man like him, how he treated his wife, how he do it. And he told me his story. And I said, if he could share his story, I can share mine to inspire other young people, especially young Black men. And with just suicide, the number one is mainly Black men. And I don't want that or anything. So I always try to, not for everyone, and to represent that I overcome it. And that's because one, because of God and Jesus' love and grace. And then second is community from my mother, from my mother, my brother, even my dad, whoever, and all. I could name billions. I could name a lot of people, but it takes a community, and that's all I can say. Just know the signs and just make sure it's that person. Just make sure you're there for them. And whoever going through, you are not alone. Remember, you're not alone. So that's the thing.
Wow,
Yes.
thank you. And I know Dr. Ray has something, and
Well,
she
no,
may ask the question, huh?
I just wanted to say, because my cousin's on here, Dolores Williams, and I just wanted to say, hey, cousin.
Awesome. So, Evan,
Mhm.
can you tell someone out there right now, our youth, inspire them, encourage them, uplift them? What if there's someone out in our audience, that will watch our replay that is battling depression as a young adult? Like, what words, encouraging words or message you want to send them today to give them hope right where they are?
I could say this, and I say this to my youth, especially who are believers. You have purpose. You have purpose, and that purpose is already biblical. It's one, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And the second one is just as important, is love your neighbor as yourself. And we see that as yourself. And that was one of my questions, was like, I didn't love myself. I hated myself. And so how was I able to love my neighbor or even love God if I didn't love myself? Now, loving yourself, it doesn't mean I'm boasting like I'm better than that person because I love myself. No, loving yourself is because God created me. God created me in his image, and we see that in his word. Excuse me. And with that, I learned I love myself because God loved me first. And with that loving myself, I was able to see more characters of God. And with that, I was able loving to God even more because I appreciate who he created in me. And that's with everything, with my flaws and everything, but God still loved me. And I was able to do the same love, show the same love of God to others. So with that, we all have purpose in in Christ. We all have purpose, and that's love your neighbor as yourself. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And the second is just as important. The first is said, love your neighbor as yourself. And you can do that with anything. You could be a janitor. You could be a basketball player. You could be a teacher. You could be a principal. You could be a pastor. No matter what, we could do that. Now the difference is there's different purpose, there's different calling. And with a calling is you got to go follow Jesus, follow his teaching, follow his thing. And that calling, you'll find it through time. And your calling may be different. My calling right now could be different next week. It could be different next year. It could be different in 10 years, 20 years. It could be all calling is always different, but purpose. Oh, I've been having purpose since it says biblical. That's the Bible. And I think that people so trying to find purpose. Like, what's my purpose in this world? Oh, your purpose is loving God, all your heart, mind, and soul, and loving your neighbor, no matter if they're against you, no matter like I will love if they don't believe in Christ, I still love them. I still could have a conversation. There's multiple things. I don't have to like we can have a conversation. I can have conversation with someone that's not a follower of Christ, and that is fine. And I still could love them and don't have to judge them. We don't have to judge them, but we have differences, and that's what thing I love about. I love learning different religions. I love learning different religions. I love it. I like, and it's not really more a debate. It's like, oh, I disagree on that, but I understand where you're coming from. I have a brother-in-law. His family is more Muslim, but I learn it. I'm not going through it, but doesn't mean I down him. And we both he inspired what we talk about, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand where that's coming from. And but I just know one thing: I have suffered through my depression. Like, what is my purpose? And then finally, just literally learning this, maybe this around this year, maybe the summertime, that I figure out that I've been having purpose the whole time. It just the calling is going to take time, but God will reveal it when we learn how to grow a relationship with Him. And that's why it's important to know your purpose, and that's with Christ. So there you go. I'm trying to keep it under an hour, but I could do a whole sermon on that.
Hey, I think this is the first episode where I didn't do a lot of talking. All I can do is just sit here. And when in the Bible, when they say how Mary just pondered stuff in her heart. And that's all I can do right now is just sit in awe and just to see. So thank you, Evan. You have anything else?
Oh, go ahead. You have any?
So, yes, Dr. Ray. I mean, tonight is amazing. I mean, Evan brung so much value to the platform on tonight. I mean, like he covered all genres of people on tonight, that every age range could have pulled something from this podcast on tonight. He had so much wealth of information to bring to the platform. I mean, like he brought so much that we definitely want to catch the replay because of the value he has brought regarding the aspect of depression, all that he's come through, all that he's been through, the things that he's continuously striving to become. Amazing on tonight. He literally, spoke of the three things that we should definitely, do when it comes down to spreading the message or just, telling our testimony. He said, what give us those 3 points again, Evan, before we close out tonight, as we have 2 minutes. But I mean, I know we just had people to recently join the platform, the broadcast on tonight, and you dropped so many good, jewels that people really need to put into their vocabulary on what they need to do far as when it comes to telling your testimony. And that all the people in the comments, you have family, you have friends, you have our friends to the podcast that join us every first and third Tuesday, that joined us on tonight to hear your story. I mean, it has been amazing on tonight. I will let you say what you need to say regarding those 3 points, and then we're gonna go ahead and close us out of here. Once you have done, you're saying, if you have a podcast or something you want to share, the things that you're doing in your community, the upcoming things, please do let us know so that we can make sure that we are a part of the things that you have coming up. So that's all I have. Go ahead, Evan.
Okay. Well, to end it out, there's 2 things before I get to the one is for the person that's struggling through depression or struggling through anxiety, struggling through anything, that you do have purpose. And in Christ, we is loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And that's if it's through sports, if it's through music, if it's through worship, is it through whatever it is. We can love God in multiple ways. Worship is not just where we go to Sunday morning and worship in music. We can worship God in this field. We can worship God in the schools. You have purpose to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and you can love your neighbor as yourself because we are practicing God's love. God is love, and we want to show God's love to everyone. And so those are the two things. And the next thing is the fourth. The fourth thing I talk about is be real, tell on yourself, don't judge, love first. Um, I don't have any podcasts right now. Everyone's always telling me I want to get a podcast. I'm just like, we'll see. Just busy because of school. I'm just trying to finish this year. So maybe after all the papers are done, I'll probably maybe start my own podcast. But I will planning on maybe start a whole young adult youth on, well, not really young adult, but any online Bible study. Because I feel like my call is to teach, no matter if it's basketball, no matter if it's the biblical, no matter it's even just math. I think my call is to teach. That's also me learning, and with the difficulty of me learning, I feel like God put that in my heart to teach, and I feel like I'm able to do that. So that'll be coming soon. I'll let you know. But I know one thing. Mainly my wife, we're starting our own business, helping her. What she's doing is her candle business, dated. So she's really doing that and following her heart, following her what God called her to be. I think that's just she's still figuring that out herself, and I'm really proud of her. And that's one thing she wants. She wants to just spread that. It's called dated. So every scent is a date. So example is she have a candle called November 3rd. It's my favorite because that is our very first date. And so the scent is supposed to be for your significant other. And the smell reminds me, and I picked the scent, so you should go get it. Is the scent reminds me of our first date. So I think that's also, but it just tells stories. I love stories. The Bible is all stories. There's parables and everything, and I just love stories. And I think that's what we were trying to do with the candles business. Just told stories. So I'll send you the link, and
Yeah.
we'll
Do you have a
hopefully go back to.
website? You have a
Yes, we
website?
do.
You can tell us the
Yes.
website, so that people can go and support you and
Is
your
it
wife. So yeah,
is it
tell
the
us.
And
one you text me, F?
yes, it's the one that I
Okay.
text you. So
I'll send it to you,
yes,
Okay, great.
and then she
go
can put it
ahead.
up.
Yep, go ahead. It'll mean a lot for her. She just opened literally Friday. She just like recently opened. So 10 candles were sold this weekend. And the 10 candles, what was the last one? Love others, love first. It said, be real, don't judge. Be real, tell on yourself, don't judge, love first. So love first is the last one. Make sure you the one that love first. And yeah, so that's where I got it from. And yeah, so dated candles, go get it, and everything. And yeah, that's it. So if I do, whenever everyone wants me to start a podcast, I was trying to get on Tim Ross podcast. That's what I'm trying to get on right now. But that's what I'm trying to do right now because his podcast he's able to bring guests like and I fill it out and I'm trying to get on it. That's all I'm trying to do. But anyway, that's it. So that's it for me. I appreciate. Thank you for the opportunity to come share my story, to share my story, to share the gospel, and just share my purpose and my calling. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. It is truly an honor to share this platform with you. You have inspired and have such an inspirational story. I also pray that God continue to use you and your wife as y'all continue to spread the gospel and be used or be vessels for his service. And with that, we have come to the end of our podcast for today. It has been amazing. I love it because I didn't have to talk a lot today. So I, again, just love sitting back and listen. Thank you, everyone who has joined us and those who will be looking at the replay. Our purpose is to spread as much knowledge, resources that we can to help our community. So I am also changing a platform as well. I have moved and working with Soul Sisters. It is a national women's organization, and I will be starting and leading a group here in Texas. So please stay tuned for that, so we can continue to do what we do. So I am Dr. Ray, and my purpose in life is to help others to become the best version of who they would like to be. And on behalf of my co-host, I'll let her do her own spiel, but we are so thankful to all of you who have joined us tonight.
Yes, absolutely. It has been amazing on tonight. I'm trying to make sure I have this website in the chat. I want to say I have it right before we actually get out of here on today. So that's what I am over here trying to do. Let me see. Yes, I want to say it's right. So yeah. Those please do check out the website, Dated Candles, because we definitely want to support those that support us. So please check out the website and purchase something. Again, it has been amazing on tonight. We thank Evan for telling his testimony, with gracing us with his presence the second time. This is not his first time with overcoming dyslexia and other stigmas, but this is his second time that he graced us with another part of himself. So we thank you, Evan, on tonight. Again, like my co-host said, we thank everyone for joining, just being, in the comments, sending your love, sending your amens, your gratitude, and encouraging Evan on tonight. So we thank you. As you know, we are here every first and third Tuesday of each month. We are here to have them hard conversations. We are here to expose, to elevate, to uplift, to encourage, and also advocate not just for dyslexics, but for other stigmas as well. As you notice, we are moving into our second season, and we are doing more of the stigmas than dyslexia, which dyslexia is the foundation of this podcast. As you know, we cover dyslexia in our topics as well throughout our podcasts. So please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Dr. Ray. If you want to be a guest on our podcast, we would love to host you. We would love to be the first to bring your story to the public. So if you're interested, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Again, we are here every first and third Tuesday, and I am Keita A. Pratt. I am a dyslexic. I'm your dyslexic strategist. I am here to motivate, encourage you, and inspire you to get to your greater good. I am here to unlock your greatness, to get you from good to great, to unlocking your greatness. We thank you on tonight. We want to see you here not next Tuesday, but our third Tuesday, which is the 20th. So please don't hesitate. Join us next time. Until then, we will see you on September the 20th. God bless you and have a good one. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Ray, and I'm here to tell you about our podcast, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. We are here to have the tough and difficult conversation about being labeled special ed or have some form of a disability. My name again is Dr. Raylyn White.
And I am Keita A. Pratt. Be sure to tune in to us every first and third Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
We can be found on Clubhouse as of now, but please stay tuned to our social media pages, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas.
Heritage Academy in San Antonio is now open for student registration. Our mission at Heritage Academy is to not only prepare students to succeed at college, but to instill values and knowledge, to educate the whole person, and to balance intellectual development with purposeful moral guidance. Smaller classes, personal attention, focusing on teaching life values. We're eager to welcome new students this fall. Register your student today at Heritage